What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be doing some live microscopy. Don't go anywhere. What's up, YouTube and all my fish keeping friends? How's it going out there in fish tank land? This is Joseph Hardin from JH Aquatics, and today we're going to have some fun with microscopes. With a microscope, anyways. I prepared a few specimens from three different specimens from three different tanks, and I have them in syringes now. I'm going to set them up in test tubes and let some stuff settle, and I'm going to go ahead and put them on slides. Now, my plan with this whole microscopy thing here today is I want the specimens to be as fresh and as live as possible, so I literally just collected these specimens for you guys. So I don't want them to die. So I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. I'm going to hang out here for a second and kind of look at the chat and see who's here. There's 11 people in here already. I see Pond is in here. Flynn, Water Wizard, Big Easy. I have to pull up the chat for a second just to say hi to everybody. Fish Tropic and Daryl Dimmer was in here before it ever started, along with Pond. He's got a cool channel. You should check him out. He's got a really awesome koi pond. I had that in the news. If you guys checked out the news this morning, hashtag FishFamNews. I did that this morning about 6 a.m. So just I want to give it a minute to get some people in here. Honestly, I'm really happy to be doing this. This is my third real kind of organized live stream ever on YouTube. I've been on YouTube for 9 months now. I've procrastinated, but I'm also kind of like a perfectionist, and I'm trying to do the best I can. So probably waited longer than I should, and should have just jumped into it, but I'm here now. So I have with me Omax trinocular microscope. It has it's binocular microscope, and it also has a third viewing port with a 5 megapixel camera. I purchased this off of Amazon. I should probably have an affiliate link below for it, but I don't. I am not on point with this one, but it's really awesome. It works well. It is a dark field microscope, so if many of you don't know, the dark field microscope, it eliminates the light that's coming directly through the object, and you're only getting the light coming from the sides of the object, so you kind of almost get to illuminate the object or the organisms and the specimen, and you also get to kind of see it in more of a 3D, really, because you're seeing light hitting it from other angles rather than just almost blinding and washing out the image from below. So definitely, I'm looking forward to this. Everything should work out well. Thank you, Candy, for being here. Candy Overhauls, I appreciate you being in here. I should set up a few other people as mods. I just get so carried away with my chat that I don't with whatever I'm doing instead of the chat. So let's see. I have 3 different specimens that I've collected for you guys. One of which is going to be some seed shrimp, some microcrustacea out of one of my shrimp tanks, my yellow King Kong Caridina shrimp tank, which is right behind my head with the brightest light back there. It's a really healthy aquarium. It's a little over a year old, but there's a really nice, healthy colony of micro shrimp in the substrate, which I'm really happy to have them in there. So they're probably going to be the largest organism that I'm going to be showing you guys today. And so I'm going to start with the big stuff, and I'm going to work my way down to some really tiny stuff. So a lot of different little single-celled organisms and protists and stuff like that. So if you guys want to, before I totally get into this, I was 2 minutes early, and I'm about 3 minutes into it. Once again, thank you guys all for coming and checking this out. It should be pretty fun. It's going to be a little nerdy. Warning, it will definitely be a little nerdy with this microscope, but I don't want it to be too boring. So I did take some images. I shot some video of the 3 different locations where I'm pulling from, so that you guys can kind of really get an idea of where it's coming from, what you're looking at before it ended up on a microscope slide. Let me look at the chat real quick. Let's see. All right, that's a nice view. There's Mr. Michelangelo, my male Ultim Angel. He's my buddy. I don't know how this is working. I guess the audio is working pretty well, right? Everybody just give me a heads up real quick on the audio. I might be lagging. It gave me a warning of that before I started, but I am on a cable internet, not wireless today, so it should honestly be a lot more consistent. So if it does lag, I'm just going to ignore it. Unless it's the audio, I just ignore it until and let it all get buffered out in YouTube, and you can rewatch it or or not. Let's see the chat real quick, and then I'm gonna start prepping up some of these slides real quick. I'm gonna do I'm gonna do one at a time. Like I said, we'll start with the seed shrimp, and then the second one, number 2, is going to be some detritus off of the bottom of my community fish tank. The detritus is coming right off of the surface. It's not. I didn't stick the syringe too far deep into the substrate, so it's really going to be more an example of the stuff that is settling with like right off the surface and in between the rocks in the gravel on the top of your substrate. So I have that one, and then the third one is going to be probably the most microscopic, the smallest of them all, and it's literally just shavings off of my glass with a razor blade off of the side of my my bare bottom angelfish tank. And there's really a lot of cool stuff there, I think more than any of them, because they're the smaller little guys, and they're the ones that we all want in our aquariums. This tank actually had a nice wall of algae on it at one point, and then you slowly saw these organisms taking over the surface of the glass, eating up all the algae, spreading out in like ring circular patterns as these colonies of microorganisms, amoebas and parameciums and whatnot, has spread all over the glass and pretty much cleaned all of the algae off the glass. And now all you see left is these other organisms now that have taken over the surface of the glass. So that's pretty cool. That's probably my favorite, and I will save that for last. That'll be number 3. So I really don't know exactly how I'm going to do this right now. I don't really know if you guys. Well, let me see if I can. Oh, I'm going to play with all my toys. I have a little bit of a. Maybe it'll work for me. It's not going to work for me today, is it? I didn't charge it properly. Sorry, I need to not play with that. It's moving my camera all over the place. Anyways, I'm not gonna mess around with that anymore. I'm just gonna give you guys an idea real quick while I'm waiting for a little bit more people to get in here. If you guys want to share this out, you can. I'm gonna. I look forward to some of the stuff being pretty cool once I get it going. So I'm gonna start out with number 1. What I'm doing is I'm getting them out of the syringes from what I collected them. I collected them with the syringes, but I want to get the stuff that's settling. I want to get some of the larger stuff. So I'm gonna put them into. Take these specimens and get them into a test tube, which I've already labeled all this stuff, so I don't have to worry about forgetting what is what. But I'm just going to go ahead and fill these babies up real quick. I don't want to waste too much time here. Probably should have put them in this already. Third one, this is going to be all the goodies off the glass, my favorites. But this is the stuff off the glass, like that's the stuff that's not going to last very long. That's why I really want to, the nerdy side of me wants to move quickly, because I want you guys to see stuff while it's very much alive. Because I do get to watch stuff die a lot under the microscope. It's just part of the process. And once you put it on that slide, it's just a matter of time before that slide starts to dry up and everything starts to die on you. So you might get to see some of that as well. So I'm gonna have to start, because of the first thing, these seed shrimp. These seed shrimp are big enough that I actually have to use a slide that has indentions in it, so that there is a place for the organism to be. Otherwise, the glass, the the slide cover would not sit flat. So there's a special slide for these seed shrimp. And I always have to check and make sure that I have it face up the right direction before I get at it. So let me do something real quick for you guys. So this is not completely and totally boring. Let me go ahead and give you guys an example of what these seed shrimp look like. I have a video here. So while I'm messing around here, this is my yellow King Kong Caridina shrimp tank, and you can see down here in the substrate I have a mixture of just gravel, and there is fluvial stratum mixed together. I have plenty of snails in this tank as well, but there's very, very healthy. You see, there's not a lot of there's not a lot of detritus in this aquarium, and that's because of these seed shrimp, or these microcrustacean. But they're really awesome. So they can die pretty quickly as well. So I'm gonna let you guys check that out for a minute while I go ahead. And I'm out of pipettes. I need to get some more off of Amazon. I go through them a lot. I use them for everything. Little plastic disposable pipettes. So right now I actually have a syringe retrofitted with a little extension on it, so that I can get to the bottom of these test tubes and collect the stuff. So now these shrimp are probably going to be the hardest for me to collect because they're big and they're flying all over the place in here, and I don't want to get a lot of detritus up with them and stuff. I just really want some of these shrimp, but they don't mess around, and it's hard to suck them up because they'll swim right out of your test tube or whatever. So I don't know, they're so big sometimes it's almost like you got to get lucky to catch these guys sometimes. So I have two intentions on this slide, so I can definitely collect. I can do basically 2 specimens out of 1 slide. And I made a mess. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and quickly get some slide covers onto these 2 specimens. Now one of these has a lot of detritus in it, I can see, and that's just going to be like basically like dirt in the way. It looks like they're not the prettiest slides because I'm moving so fast, so it's going to be a little bit messy, but if anything we'll be pinning a couple of these guys down maybe in place so they're not flying all over the place so we can see them. Okay, I have the slide on there, and this is something I've never done before. Oh, 54 punchies in here. Awesome. Welcome. Good to see you. Pro Tim, what's up? Nice to see you as well in the chat. I'm sorry I'm not just totally studying the chat. I don't mean to be rude at all, but I just want to keep it going and have some fun here and keep you guys entertained if I can. So let's go ahead and let me double check. We're good. I'm going to go ahead and screen capture for you guys. And we should be able to go into full screen, and you should be able to see me in the screen. This capture, I'm waiting for it to show up in YouTube on my other computer right now, but it looks good to me. Now I'm zoomed all the way out. I'm only magnified 4 times. There we go. There's some seed shrimp. I don't know why I'm not showing up there. Do I? Guys see the microscope image? Because I just think I'm really lagging behind because I'm looking on YouTube and I don't see myself. I don't see this popping up there. Could you guys see that? I just want to know that it's working right. Oh, I know what I didn't do. I'm such a goof. It's me. I didn't transition. I gotta learn I gotta learn the OBS. It's all me learning the OBS. Okay, we're looking at seed shrimp here. Some people call them seed shrimp or microcrustaceans, microcrustacea. These guys are super, super cool. They're bigger, so you really get to, you don't have to have a really awesome microscope to be able to see these guys. That's the cool thing about them. And they really have two parts. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see my cursor on the screen. Maybe, maybe not. But they're the shell, their exoskeleton is kind of made up of two pieces, almost like a shell, like a clam or something like that. And then their little hairs come out in between those two pieces. And when they die, that outside shell opens up like a shell would on the beach when you see a shell. So they're very, very closely related to them. But these guys are really, really cool. But they're the easiest thing to see. It really doesn't have to get too, you don't have, like I said, you don't have to get, you do see the cursor. Cool. Now I can take you guys for a ride. You can see what else is out here. Here we go. Right, and then I don't even know what this is. But is it a water bear? It might be a water bear, I believe. I think that's a water bear. I could be wrong. It's ciliated. You see it has little cilia on the outside, little hairs along it. It's definitely some kind of a worm. That's pretty cool. I've honestly haven't seen this little guy before. I do have my nights where I just stay up late staring through the microscope. And to be completely honest, I'm looking through a 5 megapixel digital camera on this. It is not that great, especially this day and age. But when you look through this, you know, when you look through this microscope, you definitely, it's a much better image. So much better. I really wish I could like somehow rig up, and I will be looking into this in the future. I've seen some other people on YouTube doing it, but I look forward to rigging up a like my camera. I guess like you could go straight 4K and really nice, because right now my frame rate, I actually have to lower it so that I can do all this in OBS and everybody, you know, and all the everything remain happy. But these guys are they're slowing down right now because they're pinned down underneath of a slide cover, little piece of glass sitting on them. So they're having a hard time. They're kind of all stuck. They're probably not in the happiest positions. They're kind of wondering what's going on. Let me shoot across here to the second specimen that I have on the slide. To me, these sea shrimp, it's cool to see them, but you can almost see them with the naked eye. I mean, you can see them with the naked eye anyways. You could almost make out the adults' structure and everything. People call these, what they call them, bean shrimp too, I think. Or bean shrimp, I think is one of the words they use as a nickname for them. I'm not sure. Now, technically, these guys can have babies in them, yes. I don't know how to, for sure, to identify them. But, like, I mean, we can roll down here and go 10 times and try to focus in. It's usually as you focus in, you want to drop the light down a little bit. It makes, you don't need as much light. But, I mean, we can focus in here. But I honestly don't know exactly what to look for. I'm sure if I can go online and look to see what it looks like, and then come back and check that out. But there's one really close up. You get any closer, and you're literally like looking at individual organs of the animal, but you don't know exactly. It's kind of becomes a blur because this organism is so big. Fish tropic. Yeah, awesome. We have 17 people watching now. Trying to keep an eye on chat, but I'm having fun with my microscope. Let's see. I don't know how much more you guys want to see of these seed shrimp. They're kind of cool, but I'd rather play around with some other stuff. It's a little bit more fragile as well, and I don't want it to die before I get it onto a slide. So we can zoom back out here real quick. That's the guy. Let's see what else. You just scan around here. Now you see some babies there. Those are definitely baby seed shrimp. I think that might have been what you were talking about. But these guys are pretty cool. It's cool to have them in the tank. And what I've been trying to do is take collections of these little specimens of them, cultures of them, with a syringe, and honestly seed other tanks with them to get them into some of my other shrimp tanks, because they really work well in a shrimp tank. They just really help. They really help to clean up the detritus in the substrate, which is what I really like. I mean, any of my tanks that have a happy colony of these shrimp, I do not have the same kind of detritus. And if I do have detritus in those tanks, it's much finer because they've processed it down to something even finer. So, and that just settles down, and it works. It works well. I really enjoy having them in my tanks. All right. All right. Let's go on to the next one here. These other guys I'm going to be able to put on normal slides. They're not going to be a problem for me because everything's so small. This one maybe not. I mean, I'm going to do it anyways on a regular slide, but this is detritus, so there might be some chunks, chunky stuff. So we'll see how that lays, see if the deal lays flat. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys real quick. This is the location where I collected this detritus from. And you can see in this tank, this is my community fish tank. I have a lot of, you can see an assassin snail blurred out in the background there, but I definitely have my share of algae in this tank, which I'm okay with. It has a certain amount of it. That's cool with me. And it really came from, this came from getting one of those moss balls. I know it because I had the tank for a long time before I threw one of those moss balls in there. And as soon as I put that moss ball in there, this happened to my tank. And I started getting green, it's like string algae. All of my rocks wanted to become moss balls. But you see here, I'm sucking up stuff, and I'm not going deep into the substrate, but I'm just pulling down from below some of this string algae, just trying to get an idea, get a look at what's living just right on the surface, pretty much, of your substrate. There's definitely going to be some feces in here from my fish. So there'll definitely be a happy amount of organisms. See if they're still alive. There should be a happy amount of organisms chewing up all of that detritus, breaking it down, which is what we want. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that loop for a minute while I prep this slide. I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 specimens on this slide as well, just to double the fun. And I'm gonna let Fish Tropic continue to quote me. Oh boy. Candy, thank you very much for holding it down. I appreciate it. For keeping everybody in line there's a pretty good crowd in here. Danny, what's up? It's good to see you. I appreciate you popping in, having a little fun with my new microscope. Feel like it's only right to share it all with you guys. Can't keep it all to myself. All right, let's see. We're going to number 2. Number 2 is this detritus. Let me go ahead and collect a sample here off the bottom. That's plenty. Literally, and 1 drop is all you need. All right, guys. Sorry to be being so quiet over here. Get this on the slide for you. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let me go ahead and get this together. Yeah, transition. Let's not forget to transition. View full screen. Cool beans. And that one's copyrighted. All right. Let's wander around for a little bit here. Just a little wandering. Let me move my camera so you're not like quite looking at my down my pants here. So let's move around here. Let's see what we got. This is when it starts getting cool to me. Get a lot smaller. Now I'm only looking at everything at 4 times. So I'm gonna go a lot deeper here in a minute, but just kind of scanning for anything cool. Looking for movement. There we go. There's a paramecium down there in the bottom left. Trying to run from me. Let's see if we can just... Oh, there we go. There's all kinds of good stuff there. Let's see. Let's get a little closer here. Sorry, I got a crazy phone call in here. 1 second. So you have there's a paramecium right there. Sorry, you guys. 1 second. Business. My boss texting me of all people. Anyways, this guy is one of my favorite here. This dude right here. I'm gonna get closer in and check him out even closer. Oh, I'm trying to get a list of everything here so that I make sure that I have all these guys named for you, just so I have it right. Now I thought this was a euglena. This is not a euglena. I'm trying to get the name of this little guy here because it's one of my favorites and I should know it. It is super awesome little character here, the way that he handles his business. I gotta go back because he's shooting back and forth on purpose. He's going back and forth. What they do is they'll stretch out and they have these little cilia on the end. Right out here on the end, they have little cilia, and they spin these cilia, and they create a current. And once you see them stretch out and you see this current get created, you'll see all the particles start to spin around and orbit in the current. And what it's doing is it's going this way, and it's pulling all the particles into its mouth. This is the mouth here. One second here. I just had like a crazy list of notes here, and now I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find them all. I had them all written down, like a little list of everything that I've found so far, and I had it on a sheet of paper in here with all my other goodies, and then I stacked everything up and lost it. But this guy is my favorite. His name, this is Stentor. Stentor is his name. Um, and they stretch out, and it almost looks like a flower or a tulip or something like that. And if you see here closely, you'll start to make this current. If you look at the little particles around the head of it there, you should see them start spinning around a little bit. They'll start to spin in orbit. Let me see if I can focus in a little bit more, and you'll see. And then he shoots back, and now he can curl up into pretty much like a ball, and then just shoot around really fast. Actually, you can use those cilia to put himself into orbit. Now the same thing is going on with this little paramecium that's running around and hanging out. That paramecium, the little guy, is just kind of chilling out with this stentor. Now he's doing the same thing to create his movement. He's got little hairs, little cilia all over his body. He's using to propel himself through the water. I'm trying to see what's going on over in. Oh, I guess those are other parameciums over here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to zoom back out real quick. I don't want to get boring here. Let's go ahead. The Stentor, though, is pretty cool. Pretty active little guy, and he sticks around for a while on the slide without being damaged, without dying really quickly. Let's see what else we can find, though. Don't want to miss it all. Just going to scan around here. Might jump to this other slide real quick. I'm not the other slide, but the other specimen on this slide, and just see what it looks like for fun. And then I can even go in a little bit deeper on some of this stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on here, to be completely honest. If you want me to just, you can dive in real deep real quick. You can go in here, go 10x. You can notice that most of this stuff is moving. Most everything that you ever see like this is being chewed on and eaten up by something else. It's just too small to see with the human eye, with the naked eye. Drop my light down and zoom, focus. Ooh, really close. Maybe too close. See, some of this stuff, unless it's big enough, you just blur it into it. Oh, see, that's what I was looking at. I'm looking at stuff on the surface. So for me, the detritus right on the surface isn't the most interesting thing ever. It's probably the most boring from my experience out of all of my tanks. When I just try to pull stuff, you think that that's where everything is, and it's really, there's a certain amount of stuff there. There is a lot of what you're going to find at this level that I tend to find in my aquariums will be some paramecium and like amoeba. They pretty much are mixed in here. There is amoebas in here. You just have to get a little bit closer to see them, and they're pretty much, they're free-formed single-celled organisms that pretty much just wrap around things and consume them and eat them up by just kind of creating pseudopods or the little extensions like peninsulas, and they just reach around and wrap things up and gobble them up slowly. But this is kind of boring for me, this slide. It's like fishing or like anything else. You never know what you're going to get when you pull some slide up. Sometimes they get really boring on me, and then sometimes I'm just like blown away, and I can't stop looking at that slide, and it dries up, and I'm like not done. Now, just as an example, all right, I'm gonna go a little closer on this cluster of stuff, and we can see what's growing here. What's alive here? You see now in the middle there, you see a little bit of movement. There's a little paramecium. Like this paramecium, and let's see. Let me get closer. One step closer. Drop the light down a little bit. Ooh. That's rough on the eyes. Come on. Focus. There's not much to see with this detritus. Most of this stuff is probably going to be almost at the point, it's going to be bacteria. We're going to have like very small bacteria. And I know that if I got down to, say, 100 with oil immersion, you're going to see a lot of little bacteria breaking this stuff down. But there's not too many of the larger single-celled organisms. There's a handful of stuff floating around in here. But once I take it up to 40 times, it totally changes what you're looking at. You really get really sucked into. You need to know exactly what you're looking at once you get there. Let's see here. I want to look at this last one before everything goes like and dies on me, because I know that there's good stuff going on there. Sorry to be boring anybody. I don't mean to be boring you guys. Thank you guys for staying awake for this. I do appreciate that. Thank you for staying awake. Let's see. I'm looking for questions in here. I haven't really found anything bad that I know for sure. I thought I found flukes, but it was not. It was actually, it was a rotifer. It looked very similar. The way that they're kind of the tail of fluke kind of almost is what's the word? Telescopic. You know, it kind of sticks out, and it can stretch out in segments and then shrink back up. It really kind of looked like flukes, but it was actually a rotifer. Let's see. Check out the chat real quick before I go on to this other one. And I should definitely go ahead and be working while I'm talking and get this one ready. I'm going to go ahead and show this other one, and then we can goof around for a little bit. I'm really all up for questions because I feel like I just feel like people don't really know me, like for why I'm in the hobby, how I got into this, why I'm on YouTube and that kind of stuff. But I'm always up to answer questions about stuff. Q&A. All right. So the third one that I have here, of course, is going to be just literally stuff that I've collected off of the glass. Like I said, it's pretty much my favorite because it's one that I enjoy those organisms too, because those are really the organisms that are cleaning up a lot of the algae in your aquarium and all of the chloroplasts and stuff that is created by all the different algae-like organisms and even diatoms and stuff like that. They'll eat diatoms as well. Let's see here. Let's go and I'll show you. Now this is the surface of the glass in my bare bottom angelfish tank. I only have the 2 angelfish in this aquarium. It's a 55-gallon aquarium. And it was all covered with algae, and I just left things alone. I did water changes, but I just left it alone. And the organisms in the aquarium did it for me. They ate off all of the algae, and this white film you see on the surface of the glass is what was left. Now, this white film is, a makeup of lots of amoebas, paramecium, paranema. There's also going to be the stentor. You're going to have rotifers, a lot of different stuff like that. I do sometimes find, I'm surprised I didn't find one here, but like cyclops, I have those in some of my tanks. But I'm surprised in that detritus slide that we did not see any cyclops. But you see there that I shaved it off with a razor blade and sucked it up with a syringe at the same time. Okay, number 3. Let's go ahead and see what's still alive. Let's see what's still alive on this thing. Get a bunch of good stuff there. We'll do 2 drops. Jeremy, what's up? You're here for the best slide, I think. So I've done 3 slides, or I'm doing 3 slides today. The first one was seed shrimp, little microcrustacea that's in my shrimp tank. And those were the biggest organisms that I was showing today. Fun if you've never seen them, kind of boring for me. And then the second one was surface detritus in my community fish tank. And that one's kind of boring for me as well. Daryl Dimmer, thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're like my #1 supporter, I have to say. And so the second one was the surface detritus out of my community tank. And now the third one, which I'm about to show right now, I just prepped the slide and dropped the cover slips on it. The third one here is going to be what you're seeing in the video right now. This is going to be like pretty much just shavings of all the microorganisms off of the surface of my 55-gallon bare bottom angelfish tank. Like I was saying, this glass was covered in algae. I left it alone to let it do its own thing, and the organisms in the tank kind of did their own thing, and they ate off all the algae, and this is what left. So it should be pretty strong with life. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna move over to. We're gonna move over to the microscope. And we'll get full screen. Coolio, cool deal. And as soon as I get onto the screen, what do I see? So cool. Did I transition? I did. I'm waiting on the other screen and watching. Yeah, so you see right here on the screen before I've even done anything, focus, brightened it up or anything. You see a stentor there in the bottom left, right above my head. He's extended out right now, and then he pulls back. If he finds something he doesn't like or something irritates his cilia, he'll shoot back and pull back, and then he comes back out and extends back out. It looks like a flower blooming. And when he's really comfortable, he'll be fully extended out. He'll look like a tulip flower, and you'll see this ring of cilia that's spinning really super fast around the edge, and then it'll create the current. And I'd really like to find one here. If I get to show you guys one good thing, is to show you a stentor and how it creates a current with its cilia, which starts to pull food right into its mouth. It'll basically create a current that flows the particles right into its mouth orifice thing. So, okay, stop talking and focus. Let's focus. Guess that's a cilia over there as well. Cilia or a rotifer that just shot back on the top there. It's a little different. I believe that is a rotifer, but it is different. It is not a stentor. There's 2 of them on the top there. There we go. We focus. Turn up the light a little bit. But these guys are a little different. they're not like the stentor there in the bottom. It actually looks like they have a shell or some kind of and a housing there that they're inside. I need a little bit of background music or something, you know? Just to fill the silence if I'm sitting here playing with the focus. I do not know what these guys are for sure. They definitely work in the same manner. You can see that they extend out and they have this rotating cilia um, at the surface, at the end there, and then they like to shoot back when they're bothered by something. We're looking at the head of one of those guys. Real quick, I'm going to lower the light. Makes it a little bit easier to see some of this stuff. You can see in the stomachs of some of these guys, mostly what you're going to see are diatoms and chloroplasts, little bits of algae. It's hard to focus in here, especially when they're moving so fast. And I only have a 5 megapixel camera. That's a real downfall for me on this one. But that's the tip there, and you can tell that there's going to be these cilia that are spinning out here on the outer edges around the head of that thing. Let me go ahead and shoot back out here, and let's go around this slide real quick, not get stuck on one thing, because there's a lot of good stuff here. Now this is all stuff, literally, this is the surface of the glass. Which is really my favorite, because honestly, and in a bare bottom tank, I don't have a bunch of places for stuff to grow. So all the organisms that make up the nitrogen cycle in this bare bottom aquarium are on the glass. So this is all of it. And if you can't tell, I need to get in here closer, but all this stuff is moving. All this stuff is moving. Really, like all of it. Let me get in here closer, and you'll see that it's literally just buzzing with life here. We can see here at the top on this image here, you see these little globs, these bluish white blue blobs here in the middle. These are all different parameciums. Actually might be they look like amoebas. This one here, there's 1 2 3 4 here in the center of the screen. These are all amoebas, and they can stretch out, change their shape, create little pseudopods, as they're called, like little pseudo feet that'll stretch out and wrap around things and munch on them. Let's see. Try to go slow. And we'll just see what I see. I'm always looking for something big, something cool. Watch some guys eat each other here or something. Have a little fight. Sometimes you get lucky. Now you see all these little nodules, all these little green balls. These are all chloroplasts, like single-celled algae, and then you also see all these long strings of algae, and these are all single cells, and they're connected end to end here. If I zoom in a little bit closer, you can see how they're in sections. Let's see, let me focus. But yeah, now you see all this stuff is moving, and that's it. It's all moving because it's all alive. Every little bit of it, pretty much, is. It's like it's either green stuff or it eats green stuff, or it eats diatoms, but which are different. People think that like a diatom is It works off of photosynthesis, but doesn't create chloroplast. It creates more of a it's more of a yellow oil that's inside of its silica-based kind of shell. Let me see if I can find some. That's something I should be able to find some diatoms here. Usually I find the diatoms in my substrate, or on the surface of, maybe on the surface of the rocks and stuff of the substrate. Let's see, let's zoom around. There's a little paramecium running around. Actually, that's a euglena. That's a euglena because you can't see it in this image, but this little organism right here, let me turn up the light. This little organism here has a tail on it. I guess it would be a tail or its head. And if I zoom in well enough, maybe we can see it flying around. Now it's a filler basically, and this long string like tail thing feels around, and that's what it's doing right now. This tail is moving all around in front of it like an antenna, and it's looking for food and stuff. And you can see that's what he's doing. He's just kind of searching around, looking for something good. And you can see what his stomach is full of, these green chloroplasts, as well as the other one. There's another one right next to it there. Oh, that's not a euglena, is that? That has some cilia spinning on it. I think that's that is a stentor right there next to it, but it eats pretty much the same stuff. They're pretty much going after the same stuff. You see that's chloroplast inside the stomach there. Let me shoot up a little bit closer on the stentor. Now this is cool. Now I got it in a good light. Now you can see all of the cilia on the head of the stentor. If I can get this without moving it too much. Let me lower the light a little bit. Focus a little bit. Now you see these hairs. And they are moving so fast that you can't see them moving. So as he stretches out here, and he gets those hairs going, and then they start to create this current. Now you see inside the stomach there of that stentor, all those green chloroplasts. There's probably some diatoms in there, some string algae, that kind of stuff. But these are the guys that are helping to clean the aquarium. They're the ones helping to keep a balance there. Let's see, let's go out here and keep in front of him so you can kind of see the cilia moving. And honestly, as I take it in and out of focus, it really helps because you get to see the image a little bit more in 3D. So I'm actually going in and out of focus for you guys so that you can actually see. So you're not just focusing on one part of that three-dimensional image, you know. Otherwise, you really don't get to see all of him. You're only seeing parts of him as you're focusing in on certain parts of him. Now, sometimes you can actually see the cilia spinning. I mean, not spinning, but moving a little bit faster. But you know, believe it or not, those hairs out there on the edge are doing all the work. And you can see that there's an odd shape here. How it wraps around, it's like a flower. It wraps around this way. It's kind of more like a cinnamon roll, I guess is the best way to put it. The head of this guy is like a cinnamon roll. So it starts in the middle. Come back into the image here. I don't want to have to move the camera. Come back, buddy. Come on. Waiting for him to, okay, I'm gonna go down there. If you're not coming up, there we go. Okay, so it's like a cinnamon roll. So it starts in the center and it spirals around and it spirals around and it comes out here and it goes down. So right here is the actual mouth. Probably that little white area right there. That's the actual orifice where the food is being tunneled into that. So these cilia are turning and spinning all the particles in a three-dimensional area around the head of their mouthpiece here, and it's pulling things into that mouth. And then he shoots back and he takes off when something bothers him. He probably heard me talking about him. Yeah, evolution, right? I mean, this is the beginning. This is the beginning. These guys have been on the planet forever. This is the first, the first little guys starting to eat things. You know, I mean, it's all happening. That's it. This is it. This is the beginning. And the funny thing is, these guys are all classified as protists, and the protists, the family of protists in the kingdom is probably the most mixed up family of all. It's really going to get broken down and torn apart, I'm sure, over the next 100 years. Humanity will realize that we've made mistakes on that, because the protists, these organisms, are connected to many other different families in the animal kingdom. Like the protists aren't all of the same kind of kingdom. They're not all related genetically. Obviously, this the seed shrimp is related to crustaceans and shrimp, and even our little Caridina shrimp and evolution are related to that. But these other protists, some of these other guys, the parameciums, they're not. They don't follow the same lineage. They're not following the same family tree. You know what I mean? They come from another family. So the protists, the way some people have put it to me, and the way that I look at protista, the family protista in the kingdom, is that is that it's like the junk drawer. It's like the junk drawer in your kitchen. Uh, in the process of science, here's a crab here. Here's a micro crab. This is not the same thing. This is not the same thing as a seed shrimp. This thing coming across the screen. This is more related to an actual crab in evolution. This little guy here in the bottom left. I'm not going to move anything so you can just see him as he scurries across and runs out of the screen there. But yeah, it's kind of the junk drawer, you know. They just took everything and threw it all together into one drawer and set into one thing and called it the protozoa, protista, and bam, left it alone because it's all the small stuff that nobody wanted to deal with. They just throw it all in that drawer. That's pretty much what it is. But through you know, in the future here, I totally see the things changing through science. They're going to break down the protista, and they're going to break it down, and it's going to, I think the way the animal kingdom is been organized is going to change. It's always changing, honestly. Every time they find something new, they're kind of rewriting the animal kingdom, but and how things are classified. But yeah, there's a lot going on in the world of protists, and it's they're connected to everything else. It's definitely the beginning. It's definitely evolution here. So I'm talking and I'm not looking for anything. Let's see. I'm going to zoom out back to 4x real quick. And let's go back and look at that crab. Let's chase him around for a minute. This guy, he looks just like your average little crab that you'd have on a crab bake up north with Old Bay. But it's not. Let's see. Let's chase him around. Maybe I can get lucky and get him back on the screen. He's moving fast. There he is. Running through that stuff. Eating it up. Let's zoom in on him. Now you see him in the middle. Now you see, like a lot of other microorganisms and single-celled organisms. Now he's not a single-celled organism, obviously. He's a multi-celled organism. But if you look closely, I don't know how well you can see it. Oh, I really want to get closer. I'm going to take a chance. Let's see. All right. In the corner, in the middle of his eye. I moved it too fast. All right. You see that? Okay. Let's stop moving. It's me. Okay. Before I move anything, see that red spot? That red spot is his eye. That red spot in the and you know, you can't see him because he's transparent and there's the algae there as well. But you can see that red spot. That is his eyeball, and it's works like it's they work with infrared. So basically, that is a red shield, and then on the other side of that is a sensor. So by using a shield of red pigment and then the sensor, they can filter out. I guess they filter out the infrared light, and they can utilize that to see, you know, to kind of differentiate everything and use it to see. just like the Cyclops. That's why Cyclops is called a Cyclops, because he has one eye just like this. But yeah, it's pretty cool. That red spot is the eye spot, the sensor. It's like an infrared sensor, and it kind of can help them judge where they're going from where they came based on like a source of light. So as long as there's like a consistent source of light, they can detect kind of where they're going a little bit better, or where they've come from. You know, if they're going away from or towards the light, basically, I guess. But it helps. Let's see. Let's go ahead and zoom back out so we can see him a little easier. Oh, I lost him. Well, I see him, but he's in that pile of stuff, so it's really hard to see him. Okay, I'm rambling on about this stuff. Let me go ahead and see if let's scan this a little bit more, because there's a lot of good stuff in here. Here's some more parameciums. We turn up the lights. Here's some more parameciums. And what I love about parameciums is they can fold over on themselves and do like 90-degree turns, and 180-degree turns. If you watch it here, when they want to turn around and go the other direction, they pretty much can like fold themselves over on their body and just turn around and go the other direction. But you see those guys there in the middle, those parameciums. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. These guys are pretty cool. Just trying to study this slide and look around for anything a little bit bigger. Not bigger, but just something I can really give you. I can easily give you a full view of it. Oh, what's that? Is that a stentor? Now this is a stentor moving around in the water. So they're not always anchored. But you see the end of that stentor there. Let me see if I can focus it a little bit better. The end of that stentor, like the end of like the water drop in, that's like their anchor. They can latch down onto something. It's got like, I think it's like 2 little pincher like things, and they can anchor itself, and then it can extend itself out to collect food particles. And this is a healthy one. Yeah, he looks good. Now you see he's anchored right now. Actually, kind of. No, he's not anchored. He's kind of swimming around. He's extended out, but a lot of times when they're moving around, they're pulled back and they're more of a round shape, and they'll use that cilia to move into the water. But he's kind of just being lazy. He's like half anchored, half hanging out, kind of looking around. He's not really too serious. And to be quite honest, at this point, a lot of these guys are starting to get tired, because it's a drop of water underneath the slide cover, and things are starting to fall apart slowly. You know, I kind of don't watch the end of it. I just get rid of them at a certain point, because things do start to get things start to die off. And it's all cool stuff. I don't want to see anything die, but you know. And you can see all these little guys. Now they kind of remind me, I'm sure these are just parameciums. I want to look at them a little bit closer. All these little guys moving around over here. Little green dudes. They kind of look green. But they do look like roundworm or some, not roundworm, but look like a parasite almost. Lower the lights. Oh, these are just little parameciums. They don't really look like a parasite that I know of, or anything like that. Kind of almost did, but they're just too oval shaped. They're not like. I thought they were diatoms there for a minute, but they're definitely not diatoms. Those are just little parameciums. And there's our guy again hanging out. Alrighty. Well, I don't want to be boring everybody. There's those guys again. Now this is interesting. I think we looked at them before on the other side. But I've never seen this before. There it is. It definitely has a case. It has like a shell, kind of like I don't know what you want to call it, but like a worm. But it has a shell right in the middle of the screen, and it shot down into it. Totally was what I thought when I saw them earlier, and I want to look these up. So they have like their own little home here. Oh, the light was fine. Let's see, I'm gonna get closer. Yeah, there they are coming in and out of their little. Oh, I don't know if better. See, sometimes closer is not better because then you're like too close to the image. Now see this? There's like this casing that they're in. Turn the light down a little bit. Yeah, they're like have this little casing. It's like a little flute. Yep, see, and he shot back down into it. But it looks like there's two heads on this thing. See, there's the one, and then there's he shot back down into it again. But that's like a little like a champagne flute. Is kind of what it looks like. And they finally extend out through the top of it there. That'd be the opening. And they're anchored down on the bottom of this thing, and this is like their little shell. Yeah, and there's like one head there, and then a second one here. There's two of them. And they get fully all extended, and then something irritates them, and then they shoot back into the hole, into their little thing. Susan, it's so good to see you. I'm sorry I didn't say anything. D down the wormhole, how are you? It's nice to see you as well. I'm just being nerdy playing with my microscope. Let me go ahead and kind of, I don't know, I feel like I'm boring everybody. I do this in Big Easy's chat sometimes. I whip this out in the middle of the night and we just start showing them stuff for fun and distract everybody. I want to find out what those guys are. I'd really like to know what they are. Let's see. I'm going to go out all the way to 4x. I'm going to cruise around, but quick. Take one more pass on this thing. There's another stentor. Extend it out right there. Now keep in mind, all these guys, they're literally, this is all happening on the surface of your glass. This is not, well, if you have dirty glass like me. But this is all the stuff that's going on. This is what's breaking down all of the algae and all the chloroplasts in your aquarium, really. People want to put chemicals in their tank. They want to dose a bunch of stuff to make things happen. But if you get it right, you just let things happen and kind of have patience, which is what I did with this tank, and that's why I have this much biology going on microscopically. You see those two stentors, they're all doing their thing, extending out to look for food. We were looking at this stuff earlier, though. This spot. Let's see, it was over there. Anyways, really cool stuff. It's just nice to know what's going on and to be able to get in there and really just oh yeah, know what's going on in your aquarium. Makes a big difference. You know, you either can guess or you can know. Yeah. Let's see. I was hoping to see maybe even a Cyclops for you, but I don't think I have anything really bad. I only found one bad thing that I thought was bad. Like I said, I thought I had fluke at one time, but it was not. I was wrong. Every once in a while, I'll take a look at the feces from my fish just to see if there's anything in there. Okay. I'm going to see. Let's see. I'm going to pull myself out of here. Bam. All right. I am back. Just have to pull myself away from that microscope for a minute. Whew. Get lost in that. Definitely get lost in there a little bit. This is our local energy drink made by our local brewery called the Green Flash. If nobody knows what a green flash is, in the nautical world, green flash is when the sun meets the horizon, and people claim that there's a point when the light reflects off of the ocean and it creates this flash of green light. I've never seen it. It's almost a myth to some people, but it supposedly is true. It's called the Green Flash. It's a little fun fact. So now I have a big laboratory, a big mess here. Petri dishes, test tubes and slides on my desk here to clean up. But I have my microphone in a completely other spot so I could sit here and play on the microscope and talk on my fancy mic at the same time. Let's see. I'm trying to look at the chat, see what's going on. Once again, thank you all for hanging out in here. It's really awesome. It's like 12, 14 people in here still, something like that. Wasn't trying to bore anybody, but just, thought I'd give you guys a little look at my new microscope that I'm playing with and get a little taste of some stuff going on in the aquarium. No green flash under the microscope. It is tempting, though. I'm telling you what, everything these days, it's like, oh, let's put it on the microscope and see what it looks like. No. Oop, what happened? Okay. Touching too many things. Oh, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to pull up the chat here, the fast chat. Let's see. Oh, I got the same thing in both spots. Anyways, I was just, if anybody has any questions for me, anything, if anybody has anything there, any challenges, anything they'd like me to, any content, any video ideas they'd be interested in me doing, I'm interested in that. Definitely. I have another piece coming out. I went pretty deep into the bush not too long ago, or this week, to take a look at some wild guppies in a certain location. And it was really rough. I got chewed up. I've got bug bites. I think I got a spider bite on my neck. I had termite bites. I guess the termites like to bite if they fall off the trees onto you. Scratches all over me from all kinds of different tropical plants and stuff, and things that itch. But I got deep in there. I found some really cool guppies. I swear they're they're related to tiger antler. They have like tiger antler blood. I swear. So I got that video coming out next week. I was gonna bring it out this week, but after I made the video, I went home and I couldn't find my GoPro. And it turns out I was in such heavy bush and crawling through trees and vines and things like that. I managed to open up my backpack and my GoPro fell out. So the next day I had to suit up, very light, and I headed out the next day after work with about 2 hours of sunlight left. And I combed the area back and forth, and right before I was about to give up and call it a day and come back the next day for more, I found it. So I'm super happy to have found that GoPro. So I have the footage, so I really can complete the piece and feel like it's what I wanted to make. So that will come out on Wednesday. I think I will post that video on Wednesday. I try to do my videos on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. If I follow through. Yeah, it was nice to have the GoPro back because I was really looking forward to having that for Peru, because right now that's the only quality underwater camera I have. I have a housing for my Canon, but it was a really cheap one off of Amazon. Bad buy, bad buy. I would not recommend it for anyone. I don't even think I'm going to try to take it with me to Peru because it's does not gives you really no functionality. You can't do anything with the camera. You pretty much have to put it on autofocus, and it still is just garbage. Yeah, I feel really lucky to found it because after the hurricanes, pretty much all along all these guts, they're not what they used to be. They're just covered with dead trees. You're climbing over all kinds of stuff. It's not just like a stroll through the woods. So it was really rough, and because there was so much depth in the landscape, like when you're hiking through there, I was literally like climbing across dead trees because all this debris is just left in the gut from the hurricane. So finding my GoPro, the hardest part was that when it fell off, but it fell off down below this canopy of dead trees that I'm climbing across. So, like 2 or 3 feet. The ground is actually 2 or 3 feet below me in a lot of the spots. So I really had to kind of look through all these trees and really had to study hard to find it. But yeah, I feel lucky to have found it, and I look forward to sharing the footage with you for sure. It's cool stuff. Let's see. What did you say, candy? When we clean the glass, do you kill all these little things? You don't kill them. I mean, if you're just shaving it off the glass, now you just shaved it off the glass, and it goes somewhere else. Where it's probably not a bad thing, because it's going to fall down into the substrate. If anything, yeah, probably some of it might die. And honestly, there's probably not as much food for it in the substrate. That's why I really don't find so many organisms in the substrate. I find more life on the glass because many of these protists, these microorganisms, they're living off of chloroplasts and algae. So without photosynthesis, there is no algae there, so there's no food for them in the substrate. So yeah, their place is on the glass. What I tend to do with a lot of my aquariums is I clean off the front of the tank. But like all my tanks in the background here, I'll leave the algae on the sides, and sometimes I'll leave it on the back. I leave it there for the fish to eat. I leave it there to help absorb some of the excess nutrients in the water column. And then I use it there as a sign of like when my tank is really balanced, because when it's really balanced, you'll start to see that patches of that algae will start to fall off the glass. It'll start to just fall off the glass on its own. And that's when you know that things are really balanced and you're in a good shape. So I definitely leave some of my algae on the glass of my aquariums for sure. Let's see. Go to the bottom of the chat. Oh, everybody's just hanging. Everybody's just hanging, listening to me ramble. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Well, I guess one other good thing I can go over is that I do have my tanks in line now, my Caridina shrimp tanks. I was having a problem with water. I kind of was running before I could walk. I really fell in love with these Caridina shrimp. Valley Fish, what's up? How you doing? You made the news today, 6 a.m. this morning. But I really, kind of running before I could walk kind of thing. I jumped into these Yellow King Kong Caridina shrimp, and then the blue bolts came in, which are like $25 a piece. Some of these are like show quality deep blue bolts, and so I was definitely freaking out. Like, I don't want to kill these things. I don't want to kill them because they're beautiful, they're my favorite, and they're really expensive. So I've been trying to make the water work for me. My tap water is 260 parts per million and 8.0 pH. So it's not so bad for my angelfish or for discus or something. But for these Caridina shrimp, it's deadly. So I'm literally at the point now where I don't have RO and I can't afford to jump into that. Right now I'm putting all my money into Peru, finalizing my plane tickets and travel money. So it's going to have to wait a little while before I jump into even like $150 like RODI system. But so at this point, I'm just going to their local ice company and I'm buying a 5-gallon, those 5-gallon Nalgene bottles of their water, which is a TDS or 7 parts per million. And My dog has been smelling the walls lately, all day today. The walls, I don't understand. Anyways, so the water from the ice company is 7 parts per million, which is like pretty much zero, and it has a pH of about 6.8. So I'm going to be doing my water changes with purchased water from the ice company, just on those two tanks. And those two tanks, it's really one's a 10 gallon and one's a 20 gallon. So until I get an RO system, I can handle that. And if I can get that TDS really low, then I really don't have to do water changes, but like once a month, because it's all that's in those tanks is shrimp. Thank you again, Candy, for posting up the Patreon and the Teespring. Yeah, the hashtag FishFam News t-shirt. I haven't sold any of those. I've sold my t-shirt. Definitely have sold that to a handful. I think I've sold 4 or 5 of those altogether. But not the hashtag FishFam News shirt. That's okay, though. Put it out there anyways, just in case. You got to put it out there. But yeah, the Patreon is really cool. I've been having fun with that. I'm trying to make some extra content just for my Patreons. It's a whole new concept for me, but I really do appreciate it. I think I'm up to 32 or 34 Patreons. I think I have a few of them are in here right now. That's for sure. Let's see. Oh, and Candy, you're asking me about the ocean water. Yeah. What I really do like about salt water, marine water, is there's a lot more diatoms in that because of the hardness of the water. There's a lot of excess calcium and silica in the water column. So I do look forward. This will happen in the future, whether it be a live stream or a video that I make. I definitely look forward to going out and collecting some marine water and trying to take a look at the diatoms, because I've seen pictures and images of saltwater diatoms, and they are beautiful, like beautiful. They call them like the gemstones of the sea. That's what they call them, or something, or the gemstones of the microscopic world. But yeah, really cool stuff. Definitely, I will definitely be doing that eventually. There'll be, like I said, it'll probably be a video. Some of that stuff, I want, even some of this stuff, I'll still be making videos about this content, because people don't go back and watch live streams like they would watch a video. So I do want to make some actual edited pieces so that people can get to see some of this stuff. Because I'm sure some of my viewers are just totally, they didn't come to this live stream, they're not going to see it. Let's see. Yeah, the marine stuff, it's a little bit different, that's for sure, because of the hardness of the water, the pH, and like all that excess silica and calcium and stuff in the water column. I don't know, where am I at now? I'm pretty much made it to, well, I'm over I'm over an hour. I think I'll call it an hour and a half like I have been doing. I'm going to hang out for another 10 minutes or so. I'm totally up for questions or anything, because you guys are like my crew. Everybody's in here. There's still 16 of you guys in here, and I definitely appreciate your opinions. If there's anything you'd like to see me do, in the future, just so you know where I'm really trying to go with my channel. I'm very much into outdoor adventure. My whole life has been around outdoor adventure, and a big chunk of it related to the pet trade. So me going to Peru will definitely be an adventure, but it's not completely new to me. In my childhood, I grew up in the pet trade. My parents imported exotic animals and whatnot, so I definitely have a lot of experience being in the middle of nowhere, in the jungles, in the subtropics, and in the tropics, collecting animals, quarantining them, and importing them back in the United States. So this whole process, this whole thing is going to be really fun for me. I'm just going to try to get as much cool footage as I can, just for myself. This is kind of like a lifetime, a lifelong dream. It's one of the things that's been on my bucket list, and I have a strong feeling that I will be going back to Peru. I'll be going back to the same spot. I've been pondering some ideas. I might be spending 2 or 3 months there. At one point down the road, the next year or two, I might just go super, super deep and just dig deep into South America and the world of fish. And I'm looking to try to spend like a solid 2 or 3 months down there, and just get set up with the base camp so that I can continue to post up content and just really dig deep and bring you guys some up close, personal, awesome stuff. I've also been looking to work with a company called ULive. I don't know if they're going to be my choice to go with. It's all about money and how much they're going to charge me for it, but I'm trying to go with a platform that I can do high definition live stream completely mobile. So my goal would be to do full high definition. Well, honestly, it's not going to be high definition because you can make high definition, but YouTube doesn't send it back across that way. It's going to turn into 720p probably in the end. So you can do what you can, but my goal is to do 360 live streaming, completely mobile, in the middle of the jungle, the middle of the woods. It's just creating that that internet service. Can get really pricey once you go mobile like that. A lot of these big news corporations, CNN and CNBC, stuff like that, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get those feeds, and they're paying for it by the minute or by the megabyte. They pay for that stream. So it gets really pricey. But there is a company, this one in particular, ULive, is creating a platform that is a lot more financially realistic for YouTubers and small content creators. It's like $900, $1,000 for the module for the hardware, which is basically just has like a Cat5 network, like a LAN plug in the side, and you plug it right into plug your computer into it, and you've got internet access. And it's like a $50 a month fee for the service. So looking into that. That would be cool. Definitely. So that's going to be a while away, but that would be something fun to have, just to be able to be out there live and be able to show it to you guys in 360. And it's just, I want to do 360 even though the resolution is not there yet, just because I love the concept, and I'll just take the complaints. I'm just going to take the complaints because people are going to say, oh, the resolution's horrible. But honestly, Corey, none of us could do any better. It doesn't matter how much money you have, because you could send 4K through to YouTube, and YouTube's going to send it back out at 720p, and then they're going to wrap it as a 3D image. They're going to wrap it, and that's going to rip those stretch all those pixels apart. So you take 720p and stretch it out into a sphere, and it's going to look horrible no matter what. And it doesn't matter who it is, how much money they're spending on their hardware, computer, camera, any of it. It's YouTube that needs to fix it on their side. They want us all to use 360, but they need to make their system process 4K, so they could at least do, like, say, 1080p and then stretch that out to a 3D image. That right there would even be a little bit better for most people, and stop some of the complaints. I see some people in here I've never seen before. Oh, the Imperfection Life. No, you were in Big Easy stream earlier today. I did see you in there. Oh, yes. Duh. I can't. Your first name. I spaced it because I just kind of met you in there today. What was her first name? Anyways, awesome pond. She just set up a koi pond in her backyard. Well, not a koi pond, but she has some goldfish in there, some feeder fish in there. And she went to the pet store today. I think she's gonna get some more stuff. I was trying to talk her into some guppies that she might see on the surface, because the feeder fish just kind of want to hide at the bottom. All right, guys, we are there. It's almost 4 o'clock. I've been streaming for an hour and a half. I managed to show you guys 3 different slides from 3 different aquariums. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't bore the crap out of you, put anybody to sleep. But this is not what all of my live streams are going to be like. This is just having a little fun today with the microscope, just seeing how OBS works. It's really all just practice for me. Like I said, this is my 3rd organized, structured live stream ever in the 9 months that I've been on YouTube. But I just want to say thank you again to Candy Overhauls for helping me out today, sharing some links and keeping everybody in order. Fish Tropics, thank you for hanging out. You've been here through the whole stream. 54 Punchy, Water Wizard, The Imperfection Life, KG Cichlids. You've been hanging out here the whole time. Susan, I don't know if she split out of here, but thank you for popping in and hanging out. Thank you for your love. And Daryl Demmer, I really do appreciate your super chat. It's really awesome. Helps keep everything going. It's all going to Peru. That's for sure. I can't even access any of this money because I haven't completed the verified my bank stuff. So YouTube can't pay me or Google can't pay me yet. So all of my money is just holding in Google. But before I go to Peru, I'm going to get that all cleared and get a check in the mail from Google. And I'll take all that money with me to eat and survive and pay for taxis, buses, and everything else in between. Maybe buy a couple of clothes before I go. Yeah. Dank Tanks, I still have your stuff sitting right here. I have a box labeled and ready to go. It's just not sealed. I had all these leaves ready to go, and then I goofed them up. But I have to go out today. Today's water change day on my Caridina shrimp tanks. I'm going to boil some leaves. So I'm going to be putting some... I saw your stream you did, the collaboration you did with Jeremy. I didn't see the whole thing, but I caught a glimpse of it. I missed it in live. I didn't make it because I was editing. Trying to not look at everything else on the internet. But yeah, I was going to send you some catapa leaves from the island. I'm going to send you some mango leaves. I'm going to try to go hunt you down because I got to go get everything again, and I got to get stuff for my tanks today. I'm literally, after this, I'm going to go for a walk and go collect leaves. So I'd like to find some bay rum leaf because that's pimenta. That's the API Pimifix is made from pimenta oil, which is West Indian bay leaf oil, which is a natural antibacterial agent. And it's just really good for your water column. Good tannins in that as well. So I'm going to try to get those 3 leaves. Maybe something else. The leaves is nice because I can send those. They're not really heavy when it comes to shipping, but I'm going to go with that. Yeah, well, I got to finally look at all of your stuff that you have over there. And I got to see that all your dart frogs, and you've got some like terrariums and some like paludarium like setups, and I totally think that leaf litter is not just gonna, there's 2 sides to it. It's good for the water column, it's good for the plants. I'm not the plants, I'm sorry. It's good for the water column, it's good for the fish, it's good to kind of just balance out the biology of the water column. But they look cool too. Once you start putting leaf litter in there, it looks like you just scoop something up out of nature and you put it in behind a piece of glass. I really like the natural look of an aquarium once it's got debris and leaf litter and twigs and stuff in it. Really brings it to life. Almost more than putting plants in it, See all these big Dutch style aquascapes with these huge big green and red and beautiful bushy plants, but there's not one dead leaf. It's so clean, it's like too perfect. So I need to be getting off my stream right now, and I'm finishing my energy drink. I'm gonna go find a whole bunch of leaves now. Oh boy. Well, I should be getting out of here. I feel like I've been hanging out too long and I'm just rambling along. It's so awesome to have all 15 of you hanging out here with me, chatting with me, keeping it real. But I don't want to just start mumbling stuff to you guys. That's for sure. That is for sure. So if anybody doesn't have any, if anybody else has any other questions, anything they'd like to share with me, anything that they would like to share that's going on in their world that's important for everyone else to know, I give you this moment to give that little shout out if you'd like. No problem with me. Let's see. If you didn't check out the news, you can check out the hashtag FishFamNews. I did that this morning, posted it at 6 a.m. I know most people in this chat, in this stream right now, so I know they've all probably seen the news, and most of them have been on the news at one time or the other. So, I'm going to go ahead and go before I start rambling or things get quiet and weird. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Like I said, once again, thank you, Candy. Thank you, Dank Tanks. Thank you, everyone else, for hanging out, supporting me, checking out my videos, my streams, sharing my content. Sharing my content is awesome. The best way for any of us to support each other. Share the content out there to other people, so that people that don't know about you, know about us, can find us, right? Anyways, I am starting to ramble here, and the green flash is hitting my head. And my dog is whining now because I'm talking to a microphone and a computer, and he wants a little love, and he wants me to take him outside. So I'm gonna go take a dog for a walk and go pick some leaves up and get those boiling. 54 Punchy, thank you as well. I appreciate you being here and helping out. Let me go ahead and do that here. I'm gonna go ahead and let's do that while I'm just hanging out here rambling for a minute. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and we'll do a quick quick building of the mod squad. Just a quickie here. Let me scroll through here. And yeah, there we go. Went ahead, Fish Tropic 54 Punchy. And Daryl Dimmer. Bam, there you go. I have 3 new subs. I'm sorry, 3 new moderators. I expect you all to do your job well. No, Jack. I appreciate everything. I appreciate it all. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I know all of you in here probably subscribe to my content. That's why you're here now. But remember to like, share, and comment on everything. It means the world to me. And remember, guys, I want you guys to remember, keep your tanks clean, your fish fed, and have fun.